In this video, we do a deep dive on the reverse convex stamp error. Welcome to Silver Bar Stacker, folks. I hope everybody's doing well and enjoying their day. Now today we got a very exciting and informative video for you today, and it's going to be inspired by a recent video from our good friend Silverstruck. Now I'm not going to tell you which video that you're going to have to go back and do your research on, but you're going to have to piece together some of the information that we have that we're going to be learning here today, and some of the information on one of the recent videos that Silverstruck posted. So go ahead and give him a subscription, go ahead and check out his latest videos, and get yourself informed with some vintage silver, because when it comes down to vintage silver, me and Silverstruck were very aligned. We like to collect a lot of the same things, whether it be Engelhard, what you see here in front of you, Johnson Matthey, Sunshine Mining, USVI Ingot Company. The sky's the limit. We love stacking it hard, stacking it deep, and we love the vintage silver. And we love learning about it, and there's new things that we're uncovering every single day. Now today I actually just learned a very new piece of information that I know Silverstruck and maybe other members of the community might find very, very interesting, and so I'm excited to be able to share that knowledge with you. I actually just finished recording a video of this very new finding, and unfortunately I forgot to click the record button. So now I know the information and I'm excited to be able to share it with you, but it's no longer a surprise for me because I've already recorded this one time over and we're doing a mulligan here, folks. So what I've done today is I've taken the liberty of sorting all of the examples I've got remaining here of some beautiful, sometimes Waffleback poured style 7th and 10th series Engelhard bars, which we got here on the left side. And then here in these last two rows, we've got a beautiful selection of 11 series Loaf machined finish bars. These bars on the right, we're going to be an estimated mintage of about 200,000. And these bars here, we got a total population of about roughly 100,000. There's going to be 50,000 of the 7 series and 50,000 of the 10th series. So what we're going to be doing today, and this is going to be a topic that was recently discussed by Silverstruck, which is why I'm mentioning him. He actually recently showed a beautiful bar which was a reverse convex stamp error, and that's going to be a bar that looks a little bit like this or a little bit like this. And in fact, I believe he's shown one of each, both the Waffleback as well as the Loaf variant. This is going to be the reverse convex stamp error that we are looking for. And something interesting that he had recently mentioned that kind of piqued my interest, kind of like put my rabbit ears up when I heard it, is he had mentioned that, you know, this reverse convex stamp error was something that happened in a very particular serial number range. Now, we weren't able to kind of definitively say anything just by looking at the couple examples that Silverstruck had showed, because he only had, you know, one example of each to show. Now, I had mentioned to him that, you know, I've got a couple examples and maybe I should make a video, and this is the video in response to that video that he did, where we're basically going to try to uncover when the heck did they make these reverse convex stamp errors. Now, I was able to just pick these up because I myself knew, after having recorded this video for the first time and forgetting to click record, I found out that, hey, there is actually a particular serial range where these errors occurred, and it's kind of consistent. That serial range where they occurred, at least based on the examples that I have to work with, it's consistently going to be happening in a very small range, both in the poured and the Loaf bars. And so I don't know exactly the reasoning behind it. If you go on All Engelhard, they kind of give an explanation as to why this sort of error happened. But what I could tell you is it's not a very, very uncommon thing to see. It's not a very, very common thing to see, but it's also not a very uncommon thing to see. Meaning that this is not a very rare error, but because it is a cool error, and because these are just cool bars in general, the bars in general, with or without an error, will carry a premium despite kind of the higher mintage than some other bars that you typically see. And on top of that, the error will add an additional premium on top of that. People kind of just go crazy for these types of things. So now what we're going to be doing today, and this again is not going to be surprising for me, but what's very, very cool about what we're going to do today is we're going to go through every single example that we got here, from all the way down from P014390 all the way up to P154527. We're going to see which of these bars have the reverse convex stamp error. Okay, and similar, we're going to go from our serial number range P123540, cool serial number by the way, all the way up to P397155. We're going to see which of these are going to have reverse convex stamp errors. Okay, a couple interesting things rather, I should say, to note before we dive deep and start flipping over every single one of these bars and doing the reveal is that take a look at this sort of reflective chrome-like finish here on the 10-ounce P-loaves here. It's very interesting that kind of in that high 3, and once you start getting to the P4 serial range, you have this very chrome-like reflective finish, whereas any of those lower digits from anywhere from the P1 to P2 all the way up to the low P3s, you have a more matte-like finish on these bars. So very interesting thing to note. Another interesting thing to note, which we have covered on the past, which Silverstruck has covered in the past, and which other people have maybe even covered in the past, that the way to easily distinguish between your 10 series and your 7 series bars is going to be simply by looking at the space in between here. While it does have to do with the serial ranges, the 7 series obviously the earlier bar, easy way to identify would just be looking here between the second and the third 9 on that purity stamp, and you'll see that there's a space in between there. And if there's a space in between, just like Dave Matthews Band, well, in that case, you've got yourself a 7 series bar. If there's no space in between there, that second and third 9, that means you got a 10 series. So I'm going to go ahead and start flipping these over. We've got quite a few Wafflebacks here. Even though Wafflebacks are not always going to be on the reverse of these bars, it is a relatively common occurrence. And so whenever I buy these poured 10th and 7th series bars, I try to seek out the Wafflebacks, and I try to specifically pick those up, especially because it's got a really nice waffling pattern on it. Fortunately, this one does not have a reverse convex stamp error, but I'm not mad about it because that waffling is absolutely beautiful. And we're going to keep revealing these reverses, the beautiful Wafflebacks, but unfortunately no errors here. And it seems that early on this error was not occurring, and so I actually made my way through every single 7 series bar I have, and believe it or not, all of these are 7 series, and we were not able to find a single reverse convex stamp error on any, believe it or not, any of these 7 series bars. And now once we get to the 10 series bar, we continue on with the journey, and we note that there's still no reverse convex stamp error. Now, the reverse convex stamp error, everybody knows what they look like because I already showed a couple of them in this row, and it seems that none of these 10th and 7th series bars have reverse convex stamp errors. It's not until you get to, around the low P13s. We were in the P12s, and we saw no reverse convex stamp error. Now we're in the P13s, and bam, that's where we get the first hit, and bam, repetitively as we continue going down, P14s, P13s, P15s, all of these have got the reverse convex stamp error. So my guess is that any poor bar with a P14 prefix on a 10 series, that's going to probably have a reverse convex stamp error. A 15 may or may not. 13 may or may not, because I haven't, I don't know when they actually made that transition. Now when we look over here, we got P12, and then on this P-loaf we got P123, and over here we got P133. Okay, so here they definitely had it. Here they definitely did not have it. Interesting, right? So too early for them to have the error. Too early for them to have the error. Not too early for them to have the error. Okay, not too early. Now, what about this bar here? This one is after. 1444 is after 133. It's after 137, right? So we would expect that this one probably has a reverse convex stamp error, and in fact it does. It does. So this is going to be our first example that we have. We have an example with a low serial number without the reverse convex stamp error, and now we've got a 14 with the reverse convex stamp error, and we've got another 14 with the reverse convex stamp error, and we got a 15 with the reverse convex stamp error, and we got a 33 without. Okay, and so this is where they stopped. Not this is where, but sometime before P33 and after P15, they stopped having this error on the reverse. So this kind of gives us a very nice indicator of like the serial range. Now these reflective bars, I never noticed these with a reverse convex stamp error, and that's makes sense because these are some of the later examples. And so this is a very, very interesting uncovering. I'm sure there's seasoned collectors out there who have already noticed this, but to me, it kind of gives me a little bit more of definitive information as to when this error was occurring, why it was occurring, and I hope you found this video useful. You know, I certainly learned something today, and I hope you did too. So, hope you have a great one. Cheers. Oh, and if you haven't had a chance to yet, be sure to check out our social media landing page at solo.to/silverbarstacker. There you can find our direct website link, which is silverbarstacker.com, as well as our links to our other social media channels, such as this very YouTube channel, our Facebook page, our Instagram page, our TikTok page, our Twitter page, and we also have the link to our Whatnot page, which is where we actually run our live auctions and actually also have all of these same SBS drops that we hold. We run those same drops on our Whatnot store, and we also have live auctions happening literally all the time. So the way that you can be notified about those auctions is to be following us there on whatnot.com/user/silverbarstacker. And we hope to see you there, folks. Thank you, and have a great day.